Running a film festival takes a lot of work, and Hazel Joyner-Smith has been doing it for almost 20 years. Her own life, from a farm in rural North Carolina to a career at Fisk University, could almost be a movie itself. Her International Black Film Festival has curated films that center the lives and experiences of African American people and screen them here in Nashville. The festival focuses on culturally accurate depiction, underserved and unheard voices, creativity, and diversity, with an emphasis on films produced here in Tennessee. This year's theme is Who's Gonna Tell Them? And the festival runs from this coming Thursday, October 3rd to Sunday, October 6th. I'm Demetria Kalodimos. It's Banner and Company. Let's listen to a bit of the trailer for the Tennessee 11, the opening film in this year's festival.
They're going to control us, they're going to take our guns, and we can't trust the man.
I can't have an AR because it looks different.
She was just wailing and just said, there's a shooter and I don't know if my daughter's dead.
3 days here, dialogue and deliberation, and the hope to make a consensus proposal together.
Let's meet in the middle somewhere because we need that.
How'd you come up with the idea for the festival? And when did it first come up? And did it seem like that's a daunting thing to establish a film festival? There are so many, and there are so few that kind of survive the long haul.
Well, this certainly wasn't in my purview, in my thought, when moving to Nashville. It was something that Dr. Winbush had in his mind, and he had established a committee to put together a film festival because he was in a grant partnership with the Nashville Film Festival. That the grant was coming through Metro Arts. And so it was an opportunity to bring communities together, and he saw that opportunity. So he put together the committee, and the committee was not working fast enough for him. He released all of them. And we were planning at that time the World Conference Against Racism, which was going to take place in Durban, South Africa. And he needed some extra help to do consultant work, of which I'd been doing for a long time. So he hired me. But although I worked on the planning for the World Conference Against Racism, he gave me the entire job of putting together a festival, and I only had 2 weeks. And I had no money.
Where do you begin?
Festival. This is okay. I said, of course, the answer was yes, I'll take it. Yes, I can do it. So I immediately, the only festival I knew anything about was the Cannes Film Festival. So I started reading and I started working and I started looking for, is there a black film festival in the United States of America? And guess what, at that time, I couldn't find one. So I heard about a film festival called the ABFF, which is American Black Film Festival, by Jeff Friday. I've started reading everything that I could and putting together what a festival would look like. And at the time, a movie was being made in Nashville at the old prison over on Centennial called Civil Brand with Mos Def and Tashina Arnold and Lisa Ray. Yeah. So one of my students said, hey, Miss Hazel, I know where they're doing a film right now. Let's go over. So we got in the car, ran over to that place, and they were filming in the Death House. And I happened to get the opportunity to speak to the director, and this was really the beginning of it feeling like a putting together a film festival. And I told her what I was doing, and she knew that I did not know what I was doing. And I asked her, would she come over? She had 2 more days to film, and she said, look, we haven't done any editing. We haven't done anything yet. So she said, but for you, I'll bring over what we've done. And so I was able to get her to come over and bring parts of the film, and we had a packed house that night. And that's what started my journey with knowing, wow, all of these people like film. There are this many people of color in Nashville that want to be in the film business or want to somehow be in a movie. And many of the people that came to see the screening that night were the extras that had been in the film, and they came from the housing communities.
And the year was?
Must have been 99, 2000, something like that. Yeah, 2000. And we had, every time we had to pack a screening, we had a packed house. And people didn't want to let it go. And there was no place to go. And so Dr. Winbush allowed me to continue to work, to build on that. And we had, he had a friend who had just been in the movie The Amistad, who came through. And because that young man said, I'll get Debbie Allen to come, that was the opening door.
Give me an idea of some of the gutsiest phone calls and outreaches you've done. People that you never would have imagined that you pick up the phone and try to get in touch with.
Well, it's not so much the phone calls. One of the things that I learned through working through education, I would go to an event and find out where there was going to be a star. I'd get them in a corner and I wouldn't let them out. Or I would just go and plead my case. And I once told, I've forgotten who the mayor was at the time, I said, I want permission to be able to sell Nashville. Wherever I went, and I'd take my daughters with me, we would talk about the advantages that Nashville had to offer, and that it was virgin territory, and you have the most loyal fans right here. Please come to Nashville. And so this is how we had the movie, the premiere screening for Best Man Holiday. We had it right here in Nashville. And other film festivals were angry and upset with us. They knew we were novice and new kids on the block. How did you get that over us? It's because of the story we told. And you know, we would try our best to convince people that there's something here in Nashville for you.
I'm still a little amazed that there was not a Black Film Festival.
Well, imagine if you didn't. Let's just look at the history. And I'm teaching classes right now on the introduction to African American films. And you look at communities that barely had a theater, if they had a theater, and the structure of it. So making movies is a big stretch for anybody. So, and festivals, they were foreign, especially in the South. So for Black and white communities. So I like to bring people back to reality. So just tell me what you dressed up to do back in the 30s and 40s and the 50s. Oh, we went to church. And we go to a movie, but you didn't hear film festivals. You know, football games and things of that nature. But in other places like New York and Chicago, and of course LA, You would have, those were common things because then you had the industry there. The industry was not here. So we had to recognize that when we started the festival, we knew that we would have to nurture an audience, especially the Black audience, to support a film festival. What's that? People still say, oh, we've never heard of you, or they've never been. So we had to nurture the audience. Then we also had to nurture and convince the industry to come here. This was before Atlanta.
Yeah.
Before Atlanta. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Atlanta, because why aren't we a bigger player at this point in time?
Well, I think that this is something that we all have not grappled with, is how interconnected we are. It takes the whole community to embrace and support a new idea, to make it grow, to make it flourish, and to make it mean something. So the community didn't know, still this is something, and not knowing about a film festival. No problem embracing the music. Fisk Jubilee singers, country music, we could embrace that easily. Nashville still will go have a different response to a movie star than they do to music. Music we know. Music is a part of us. Music we love, but bringing a star here, I haven't gotten Denzel here yet, but he's coming.
That is a promise.
Yeah, that is.
I want an invitation.
No, you will. I've got another one I'll tell you about. Well, a big one we're going to bring.
It seems everyone wants to come to Nashville. Has that job of luring filmmakers and others here become easier for you?
Well, it has, because Nashville set the right stage. Just driving through Nashville any night and seeing our beautiful landscape is inviting. And yes, it has become easier. One, the community and itself, the political environment and the economic environment, it says that Nashville can handle it. And I have been graciously appointed by the mayor as a part of the new film commission. So therefore, I think part of our job is to the Film, Music, and Entertainment Commission is that we spread the word and help those spread the word about Nashville and bring more and more projects here. And I think that's on the way.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what a weekly television show did for...
Yes, that's right, exactly. So now if we can, maybe even on some smaller scales, open the door and make it more inclusive. There's still some areas that we have to work on, but I think we're up to that task, and Nashville is going to be a bright and shining star.
It's Banner & Company. I'm Demetria Kalodimos. We'll be right back. If you're interested in building a more thriving and inclusive community by turning thoughtful generosity into positive change, well, you might want to know about one of our sponsors here at Banner & Company, the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee. It matches compassionate givers with worthy causes in ways that benefit all of us. Check them out at cfmt.org. A longstanding issue has been representation,
right.
Material, appropriate roles. Are you encouraged with what you've been seeing? I mean, I think there is progress.
There is progress, and we can see some, although, we read the stats on, where there are still areas where it's hard to, people are not in the numbers that we'd like to see. And but we are trying to make a change in that. We are at the forefront of making sure that we invite the emerging filmmaker, the young creative, through a door that's open and welcoming into this industry. And so we work very hard, and now Hollywood is saying, or Atlanta, New York, or wherever, they're saying, well, let's see what kind of programs we can partner with so that we can bring this kind of opportunity to everyone who's interested. There still are not that many black film festivals in the South, but we're seeing more and more people. I've just had someone to ask me, would you mentor us in developing a film festival? And yes, we are, because we can't do it all. No one person can do it all. And this kind of thing is, it's more of a collaborative effort than we recognize. It's going to take all of us, and it's going to take the community and the businesses that support, the people that sponsor, saying, well, we want to see this happen. What can we do to help that person come out of Nashville and be on the world stage?
We are on the eve of the festival.
Yes.
As we speak. Give us a few teases. What can we see this year?
Well, we are so excited. Although, we may not be the big festival out there. We're just as important because we provide the platform where people who may not have an opportunity can bring their work. And so this year, for the first time, we're seeing 98% of our filmmakers that have been accepted into the festival are attending.
That's big.
That's big for us. That's big for us.
Because the audience can interact with the visionaries and the people that created this.
They can. And we've had success in the past. Don't ask me which ones, but we've had success in the past where our filmmakers have been seen on the larger stage, Netflix and Hulu and all of those streaming channels. We've even had a film or two that came through one of our filmmakers that when we were first started, he was one of our first independent filmmakers, and while we were at Belcourt, he screened his film there, and he was so excited. He had his mom and dad. Well, he was on the stage, and he won an Oscar with Spike Lee. But he had a platform to come through us, and we now know how important that is. We were in place for him. And that may not have been so if we had not to step out there.
Are there criteria that people of color have to make up a certain percentage of the crew? Or does the subject matter have to be specific to that? Or are we talking about just universal stories that we can all embrace?
Well, of course, one of the things, because we know that this is an undeveloped area and the communities of color, we try to make sure that we didn't just throw anyone away, because when we first started, over half of our filmmakers that came to us were white males. That's who dominated the industry. Mm-hmm. And so now we've seen a change. Oh my gosh. And it's changed so much that we know that there is an impact being made, not only by us, but by others that are out there. And because people are speaking up and they're demanding that there is a representation of all people. We'd like to see people of color somewhere in the product that you present.
Sure.
But if it's a good product, we're not going to turn it away. And so it may be, and we have had many, and we still do, that may be an all-white cast, but the director may be black, the writer may be, and so we accept stories that that are inclusive, but we also know the value of a story if it brings across the message. And of course, right now, most of our entries are of people of color, and that includes the international community too, because France was our partner at one time, and they had an Afro-Francophone speaking or community and citizens that needed a place to put their films. So we get many international submissions. And so
And where else are you going to see those films? I mean, now we can
right.
stream, but there's something about sitting in the theater with other people.
Yes, and hearing about their, their struggles and the things that why they wanted to do this and why it was important, and that that they may not have had an opportunity of how they stumbled into this. Many of them stumble, it's not as intentional because the programs are not in place.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing we're working on for Nashville, is to make sure that we have programs that are open to all communities.
Where can people see the films?
People can see the films this year. We will be at Belmont University, which has been a long-time partner. This time we will also be at Scarrett Bennett, which is easy to find. And our information is on the website, ibffevents.com. And the entire schedule is there. There are plenty of mixers and parties and networking opportunities. And we will have some people coming through, executives from the industry that will be here as well.
We were talking a little bit about the Tennessee 11, which is a documentary project that was born out of course, the real-life controversy and tragic events here in Tennessee after Covenant.
Yeah.
I've seen this film. It's very strong. Why show something like that? It's extremely timely.
Well, not only, and my daughters sometimes get on me about this, but see, while we have the attention of everyone, why not talk about the issues that are in our community? Because we don't have the forums like we used to have. And a film festival, although it may not be the likely place, but it's a grand opportunity to show films that are addressing that issue. And we have more and more films that are coming to us that address everyday issues that we see in the news. And we also bring the people who have the voice or want a voice to speak about those issues. So it's very, very important. And that's the reason, whenever we do a screening, what happens is that people don't want to leave the theater. They want to talk. They want to, and it's a way about bringing solutions, a way to solve problems. And we may have never spoken to one another. And when we open up a festival, it's for everyone, just because this is the biggest question I have all the time. Can white people come? Sure. But because this is a film about people everywhere.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity that we can get to know each other better.
It's Banner and Company. My guest is Hazel Joyner-Smith, founder and CEO of the International Black Film Festival. We'll be right back. Tell me a little bit about your childhood and early years. North Carolina, right?
North Carolina, and a small town, an agricultural town, Tobacco. My family, fourth generation landowners, And we raised tobacco as our main crop, although, you know, we had other things, but tobacco was the main crop that sustained the family. My father, my mother, and my two sisters and a brother, we all were reared on the farm. Went to a country school, you know, when you had school from the first grade all the way through the 12th grade. We went to the same school, the Charles R. Drew School, which was important to us at that time because Charles Drew represented an influential person in our life. And we heard that. It stuck with me as a young girl. And so I've had the hard work. I lost my mother when I was 6.
Oh.
And my father never remarried, but he reared us, and education was always at the center of everything that he had planned for us. Of course, he wanted us to come back and keep the land, and that we still have today in the family.
Tobacco is a very difficult crop to deal with.
Yes, it
was
is.
this burley tobacco? What kind of tobacco is this?
Well, it was the tobacco that was used for it's called the golden leaf. And it's used mainly for the premium cigarettes. So it was not the burley where you pull up. It was where you pull 3 to 4 leaves off of the stalk at a time, and which meant that you had a 6 to 8 week period of work, which was very taxing on any family because that meant that they needed the kids at home. And even the school system would set up a plan where we go to school a half a day and come home so you could do the work. And that was everyone, black and white, in the community.
Wow.
Yeah.
And back then, you didn't have the chemicals and other things. I mean, if a bug got in or a disease got in, that was it.
Well, now, yes, but during the time, it must have been just the start. I remember tobacco worms. I hated them big old green juicy worms. And there was something that they could spray that would curtail them eating up the leaf, because the leaf, that's the dollar.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the dollar. And so my father was very conscious of how we would walk through the fields so that we didn't damage the leaf.
Wow.
Yeah, so, yeah, that was a time I'll never forget, but it helped me to be able to stick to a task and complete it, see it from the beginning to the end, and that's real important.
Did you know you were going to go straight into higher ed? I mean, did you have your career set out when you finished that 12th grade at the Charles Drew?
Well, I knew I was going somewhere because my father was not going to allow me to stay at home. And he had a plan. His mother, which was unusual at that time, was a college graduate, 1922 college graduate from Bennett College in Greensboro, North Carolina. So education was important for his mother, for him, although his education was interrupted because he was drafted, during that time in World War II. But his time in the military educated him so that he wanted us to see the things that he saw during his tour in the military. And he experienced a lot of things in the military. The beginning of integration there, the traveling, the meeting of other people and seeing other parts of the world, and also how things operated. So he brought that experience back to his community. When he came home, I remember him helping the people in our church get Social Security, get insurance. He was an activist, very much an activist and a civil rights leader. Worked with Terry Sanford when he was the governor in developing programs and informing the community of things that would help benefit those that were underserved areas. So his life was active, and he wanted us to make sure that we were not thinking of ourselves individually, although he wanted us to succeed. but not to be selfish.
To lose your mother at age 6, wow. What a formative experience in your life.
Yes, that was, and it was very traumatic. She passed 5 minutes after giving birth to my sister, and she did get to see the baby, I recall. My father was very determined to make sure that we had a good home, and he found someone, his sister, who didn't have any children, who took my sister Pearl, the baby, and reared her, and we saw her every Sunday. And then when she got older, she'd come and stay with us. But it was traumatic, because that meant then, and I don't know if my father thought about it, but, I became as the oldest, I had to learn how to cook, wash dishes, decide what to fix to eat, learn how to fix what to eat, and, those kinds of things. And my father helped me. And so it was a daunting task, wash, cook, clean, work in the field, and go to school.
My goodness.
Yeah.
No wonder you're an overachiever.
Well, I guess so. And so many times people say to me, and my father expected whatever you were going to do it, and do it the best that you can. And if you had an issue, don't come to him with the problem. Take the time to see how you can solve it first.
Was there opportunity to see a movie? Was there a movie theater? Do you remember the first time you saw a film?
That is a good question. I do. I remember the first time I saw a film, it was The Imitation of Life. No, there was a film before that, and I don't remember it, the name of the film, but I remember going in the theater, and what I remember most was not so pleasant is that all blacks had to go up in the balcony. And there was no bathroom, and there was a strong smell outside because there was no place for people to use the bathroom, people of color. But I remember as we went in and sat down, and as the film came up, the music and the lighting scared me, and they had to leave because I cried, and it frightened me. I couldn't take that. It was something I'd never seen before. So the next film that I did go see, and I remember, was The Imitation of Life, and I've never forgotten that. The entire black community went to see that film, and that's all we talked about was that movie, and the portrayal of that, and denial that we saw, and the reality it hit home so hard.
Let's go out with a little bit from 8 Wonders of the Word, a film showing Saturday night at Belmont University.
I think about the voices that have come before me, who have had to face some giants in their life.
I've always said I want to be a voice for the voiceless.
So many people are afraid to use their voice because they've been silenced for whatever reason, or they don't have the confidence. In order to make the world better, we got to speak out against things that aren't right.
The words have power. You can speak life or death. You can give form or transform, way, truth, or even purpose. But it starts with a voice.
Banner & Company is a production of the New Nashville Banner. Our producers are Steve Haruch and Andrea Tudhope. Original music is by Verlin Thompson. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, or go to NashvilleBanner.com. You're in good company. one of the things we do here, Hazel, see the fishbowl?
Yes.
It's got the final question,
Wow.
which you can choose. It's been posed by someone who sat in that chair before.
Okay. All right. From Ann Byrne. Yeah. What is your favorite?
What is your favorite memory that involves food?
Whoa, Ann. Well, church was so important in the country. And Sundays after church, we would have homemade ice cream. And I loved homemade peach ice cream and playing with my friends. Yeah, I love that.